Hello everybody, this is TV. I'm back again with another video. This time it's my NXT review for the 1st of April 2015. And yes, I did not do a review last week, as some of you may have noticed. But this time I'm going to do a sort of double feature by covering both weeks of NXT. Let's start off with, 25th of March 2015. For that review, go right in and say it was a half decent one. I was expecting a little more from it. First of all, it only had 2 matches. It was sort of a WrestleMania week sort of one. I was expecting a little more. It was 2 title shots, which were half decent. The second one was, I'll talk about a second, was very good. A very good match. The first one, obviously, being a women's championship match between, Sasha Banks and Alexa Bliss. As we know, Alexa Bliss got her title shot, and that's where that match comes from. The match in itself was a pretty fun one. I haven't obviously watched it in a while, but I think that the main memories of this one were, of course, it ending with the bank statement from Sasha Banks. It was a slightly better match than the match they had before, and yes, it did attract a good response from the crowd, which is always good to see. So yes, Sasha Banks came up as a win, defending her women's championship. No deal there. My favourite bit is that she defended the title because, I love her as a champion, and I think that she does a great job, and even some of her backstage interviews or segments are very enjoyable. Our next segment was probably a little bit of a teaser for next week, where Hideo Itami and Tyler Breeze are going for that match, a 2 out of 3 falls match, which ironically being the main event of the following week's NXT, which I'll get to in a second. I don't know. It was alright. I had the backstage promo, Hideo being quite quiet and, sort of saving his energy. You can see it in his eyes, though. He did have great body language sort of acting, and Tyler Breeze did the talking there. In our next segment, we had, I think, a bit of a fight between, or sort of tensions boiling out between, of course, Emma and Bayley, and the two, they have pretty good chemistry. They're talking backstage, the whole story of how Emma is trying to toughen up Bayley, and yes, that will bring us to a match the following week. In our main event, which I'm just going to skip right through, because I'm pretty sure there wasn't anything of note else to cover on the show, we see Kevin Owens, the NXT champion, defend his title against Finn Balor. It was a very long match, of 20 minutes long or something, and yes, it deserved the time. It was a great all match, and this kind of made NXT for this week for me. Last week, of course, it was just a very high quality match. I give it a 4 out of 10, 4.5 out of 5. It pretty much had all the things you wanted. It started off quite slow, Finn Balor being a bit more fast, and I just love how Kevin Owens works with these different wrestlers. And yes, Kevin Owens did defeat Finn Balor, and I think it was a very worthy finish. Owens basically gets Balor damages his leg, which stops him from getting cover when he does a double foot stomp, which obviously coup de grace. Owens then pulls into a pump-up power slam, and yeah, he did. I love the way he did look strong the whole way through, even though he wasn't even moving at points, or wasn't even doing moves, or was being hit. You could still see that he had strength left over, and he was sort of saving himself for the big finish. And it just shows what type of wrestler he is, and definitely, probably in my top 5 wrestlers in all of WWE at the moment. I mean, that just shows you. I think he's just a great old wrestler. And I don't know, I just love to watch him in the ring, the way he works down body parts. As soon as I saw that Balor's leg was damaged in this, he went straight for it and targeted it like a boss. Yes, that is correct. He went down on Balor's leg real good there, and yeah, he finished it off. It was a good championship match, and it was a WrestleMania weekend moment. So yeah, nothing else to say, but Owens moving forward from this, He's gone into a line of, he's going to go forward, and he's going to have a lot of people who want to come after him. He's got a big target on his back, and I'm going to talk about that in just a second as we move forward to the next week. Obviously, I wanted Balor to win that one, but Balor, he still might get a rematch or whatever in the coming months. I don't know. Balor, I don't know. he could still make his way as a good singles wrestler in NXT, and he pretty much holds up a lot of the roster. He's one of the most popular at the moment, I'm pretty sure. I don't know, I feel at the moment that he's doing quite well for himself in NXT. Right, on to the 1st of April's NXT. This one begins, and I think it was a good beginning. It was Sami Zayn coming out basically to talk about him being back. He's going for Owens and saying he's a number contender, and I love that fierceness in his promos. He's definitely like one of my favorites in NXT at the moment. He's a great babyface, and he shows a sort of fierceness in his promos that I don't really think anyone else kind of has the skills that he has in NXT at the moment. I'd love to see another one that could be as good as him. I'm gonna have to wait for that anyway. But yeah, he pulls off a great old promo out in the ring, and I think someone doesn't come out. Anyway, let's go on to our first match of the night, being a Divas match, which is obviously Emma versus Bayley from last week. Yeah, it was let's think of it. No, it was a pretty good match. Yeah, it was fun, and Emma pulled out all the stops, and she ended up winning that one. Bayley ended up winning this one, I think. And yes, Emma was sort of there standing kind of awkwardly, and you could definitely see there was something else in that rivalry, and it was obviously going to continue on. I feel like they've done this a few times in NXT before. It's getting sort of old. It just feels kind of unoriginal, but again, Emma, I think she's got to unleash some sort of fire within her in order to make me impressed by what's going on at the moment with this rivalry between Bayley. I know Bayley can do something like that, but we're going to see in the coming future. Yeah, it was a decent enough match. Our second match was Rhino back again, happily enough. Plows through some opponent, local competitor, I don't know, and yes, he finishes him off with the spear. Gore. Sorry, it's called Gore. Anyway, yeah, he looked amazing, this one, and yeah, he plowed through, and it's very believable. And yes, he did say he was going to go from Sami Zayn, and backstage segment, we see him talking to Sami Zayn, saying he was first in line. I'm not sure where that comes from, obviously his self-confidence there, but maybe we'll see a match between Zayn and Rhino. I'd actually really love to see that one, and see who gets the number contender spot, maybe, because these two guys definitely stand up, and we're going to see, obviously, Rhino solidify himself with a proper win, not just some random competitors. So I definitely think that before he goes up against Zayn, he could go up against someone of a little lower tier and maybe prove his dominance over that guy, and then he would be sort of next in line really for a number contender shot or something of that nature against one of the top stars in NXT, because he could definitely grab attention to the product in NXT, and that's a good thing, and that's never a bad thing really. And they do need if they want some more publicity or whatever, they could have him headline a few shows, do stuff like that, put him in a main event. I mean, it's great stuff that could come out of that. Right, our third match of the evening was the Lucha Dragons versus the NXT Tag Team Champions Wesley Blake and Buddy Murphy. I was mixing up. Blake and Murphy. Yeah, it feels like this match has gone on so many times. I didn't even know it was the NXT Tag Team Championship match, to be honest, which I'm pretty sure it wasn't. But we've seen this match so many times. Yes, it was pretty much the same as usual. It was quite enjoyable. It started to get really good after the second half portion, and yes, the fluidness, and it just worked great. And you can see why these people have had some encounters, because they work so well together. And yes, I do think that the Lucha Dragons deserve this win, but again, I think Blake and Murphy pulled off the win anyway. Yeah, it was a good finish, a suplex into a diving splash from Murphy, I think, and yeah, it ended well, and definitely a great tag team in the making for Blake and Murphy. Right, after this, we cut to the main event, which was a 2 out of 3 falls match. It was only given 50 minutes apart from the 20-minute main event last week, so yeah, it was a little bit shorter, a little weird. This is a 2 out of 3 falls match. I don't really think it needed to be, but I guess it sort of gave the storyline. It was Hideo Itami. I think Hideo Itami got the first fall, pretty early on, like 3 minutes in, he just raged really, really fast, and it was believable because he worked down Tyler Breeze so fast, and it was fluidness, and he's got the quick pin from a shotgun dropkick. Waiting for Itami to get to his feet, it ended up working that Hidami got another Breeze got to his feet and got the pin. It was a 1-all, and then Breeze finished it off with a reversal into a beauty kick. He's done it a few times before, and it looks pretty great finish. And yeah, there you go. Breeze gets the win. That definitely solidifies him. I think that's the second time we've had a 2 out of 3 falls match in NXT. I haven't seen the first one, but in overall it was give it about 3.5 out of 5. It was top quality, yeah. Moving forward, we'll see what happens after this. Yeah, so that, guys, has kind of wraps up my NXT review. My favourite match of the night has to go to Blake and Murphy versus the Lucha Dragons. It worked well and fast and fluidity, and they pulled out all the stops in that match. It was a great tag team match, one of the best I've seen in a long time. For the 25th of March edition of, obviously I'd say the main event was the best match, and Kevin, and you know, I sort of expected it, but Finn Balor did have a great showing out there. He was not buried at all, of course, and Finn Balor moving forward, you know, he could definitely probably have a leg injury, so he's going to get it for maybe a few weeks or whatever. We'll see how he sells that leg injury. And Kevin Owens, yes, I'm so looking forward to his next battle. That's all I've got to say for you guys tonight. See you next week for my next NXT review, or whatever review I do next, which will be whatever, probably the 7th or 6th of April 2015. See you next week. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, favorite this video, and do all the stops. See you next week.